The Enchanted Cabin's Christmas Ghost by Reuben White. In the heart of a snow-covered wilderness stood an enchanted cabin, a hidden gem nestled amidst the towering pines. Its log walls bore ancient symbols etched into the wood, shimmering mysteriously in the soft glow of moonlight. For years, the cabin had been a haven for travelers caught in the unforgiving grasp of winter's icy embrace. Little did they know that within these mystical walls resided a ghost named Oliver, whose laughter echoed like a chorus of mischievous sprites. Oliver was no ordinary ghost. He had a peculiar penchant for laughter, a trait that had defined him even in his mortal days. It was said that his laughter could warm the coldest of hearts and lift the heaviest of spirits. Yet, despite his ability to spread joy, Oliver was lonely. For what good was laughter if there was no one to share it with? Years had passed since Oliver had passed away, and in that time, he had become a mere specter, invisible to the living. He watched as travelers came and went, finding shelter in the enchanted cabin during brutal snowstorms. They never knew of his presence, they only sensed an inexplicable mirth in the air, like a ghostly whisper of happiness. Oliver longed for company, yearning for someone to share in his laughter and the wonders of the enchanted cabin. However, he was too afraid to reveal himself. He feared that the moment they saw him, terror would replace their laughter, and he would be left alone again, more heartbroken than ever. So, he contented himself with playing pranks on the unsuspecting travelers. He made pots and pans dance in the air and created shadowy apparitions that sent shivers down their spines. He watched their frightened faces and heard their gasps, all while hidden in the shadows. One fateful winter's eve, a family of 4 found themselves stranded in the enchanted cabin after a brutal snowstorm. The cabin's ancient charm had drawn them in, its magical aura offering a glimmer of hope in the freezing wilderness. Oliver watched them cautiously from his hiding place in the corner, intrigued yet fearful. The family consisted of a father named Mark, a mother named Emily, and their 2 children, Lily and Noah. As they entered the cabin, their breath visible in the cold air, Oliver felt a strange mixture of excitement and trepidation. He observed their every move, from the way they stamped their boots to shake off the snow to the smiles they exchanged as they warmed their hands by the fire. It didn't take long for Oliver to notice that this family was different from the other travelers. There was an air of warmth and camaraderie about them that tugged at his spectral heart. He listened to their conversations as they settled in, and he couldn't help but smile at their stories and jokes. However, the family's laughter soon turned to hushed whispers as strange things began to happen in the cabin. Objects moved on their own, and eerie shadows danced on the walls. Emily was the first to voice her unease. "Did you see that, Mark?" she asked, her voice trembling. Mark frowned and glanced around. "See what, dear?" Lily and Noah exchanged nervous glances, clutching their blankets tightly. They had felt the strange presence since they arrived, a presence that seemed to hover in the corners of the room. Oliver couldn't help himself. He burst into laughter, his mirth echoing through the cabin like a chorus of mischievous sprites. The family froze, their eyes wide with fear as they searched for the source of the laughter. "Who's there?" Mark called out, his voice wavering. Oliver couldn't contain his laughter any longer. He appeared before them, his translucent form flickering in the firelight. The family gasped, their faces pale with shock. "Oliver," he said, introducing himself with a comical bow. "At your service." The family stared at him, a mixture of fear and bewilderment on their faces. Oliver had expected this reaction, but it still hurt to see their fear. He had revealed himself too soon. Mark finally found his voice. "You're a ghost?" Oliver nodded, a wistful smile on his face. "Guilty as charged. I'm the ghost who's been haunting this cabin for years." The family exchanged incredulous glances, then turned their attention back to Oliver. Emily was the first to recover from the shock. "You're not like any ghost I've heard of," she said cautiously. Oliver grinned. "That's because I'm not like any other ghost you've met. I'm Oliver, the ghost with a sense of humor." As he spoke, he made a nearby chair wobble and then levitate in the air, causing the family to gasp in surprise. But this time, their fear was mixed with laughter, and Oliver could see the tension in the room dissipating. Over the next few days, Oliver shared stories with the family and played pranks that had them laughing until tears streamed down their faces. He learned about their love for Christmas, a holiday he had only heard of in passing from the travelers who had stayed in the cabin. "What's Christmas like?" Oliver asked one evening, genuinely curious. Emily's eyes lit up as she began to describe the magic of Christmas, the twinkling lights, the joy of giving, and the warmth of family gathered around a tree adorned with ornaments. She talked about the wonder of children's faces when they saw their presents, and Oliver was captivated by her words. A mischievous idea struck him. "Would you like to see a Christmas tree?" he asked. The family exchanged puzzled glances. "But we're stuck in this cabin," Mark said. Oliver grinned. "Who said anything about a real tree?" With a wave of his spectral hand, he conjured a magnificent Christmas tree in the center of the cabin. Its branches sparkled with ornaments and lights that seemed to radiate a warm, inviting glow. The family's eyes widened in wonder. "It's beautiful," Lily whispered, her face filled with awe. For Oliver, seeing their joy and wonder was a gift in itself. He watched as they gathered around the tree, sharing stories and laughter late into the night. In that moment, he realized that he had found something he had longed for, a family to share his laughter and the wonders of the enchanted cabin. As the days passed, the family grew closer to Oliver, and he to them. They no longer saw him as a source of fear, but as a friend who brought laughter and joy into their lives. Oliver, in turn, learned the true meaning of Christmas through their kindness and love. Yet, as Christmas Day drew nearer, Oliver began to feel a sense of sadness. He knew that his time with the family was limited, that they would eventually leave the enchanted cabin and return to their own lives. The thought of being alone once more weighed heavily on his heart. On Christmas Eve, as the family gathered around the tree, exchanging gifts and laughter, Oliver couldn't help but feel a sense of melancholy. He watched them with a bittersweet smile, knowing that their time together was drawing to a close. But then, Lily approached him, her eyes filled with compassion. "Oliver," she said. Oliver, taken aback by Lily's kindness, looked at her with gratitude. "Yes, Lily," he replied, his voice tinged with curiosity. Lily extended a small gift-wrapped box toward him. "We couldn't forget you on Christmas, Oliver. This is for you." Oliver accepted the gift with a mixture of astonishment and joy. He had never received a Christmas present before, and the idea that this family wanted to include him in their celebration touched his spectral heart. Trembling with excitement, Oliver carefully unwrapped the gift. Inside the box, he found a small, handmade ornament, a miniature version of the Christmas tree they had all gathered around. The ornament was adorned with tiny, glittering lights that twinkled like stars. "It's perfect," Oliver exclaimed, his laughter bubbling up like a gurgling brook. "Thank you, Lily. Thank you all." The family smiled, their hearts warmed by Oliver's genuine happiness. They continued to share stories and laughter, their newfound bond growing stronger with each passing moment. As Christmas Day arrived, the enchanted cabin was filled with the joyous sounds of laughter and the aroma of a hearty feast that Emily had prepared. Oliver, for the first time in years, felt the true magic of Christmas. The warmth of the family's love had melted away the coldness of his solitude, and he knew he would cherish this holiday forever. But as the day wore on, Oliver couldn't ignore the inevitable. The family would eventually have to leave the enchanted cabin, returning to their own lives and leaving him once more in solitude. The thought weighed heavily on his mind. Late that night, as the family slept, Oliver found himself standing by the window, gazing out at the snowy landscape. The moon cast a silvery glow over the world, and the stars sparkled like diamonds in the sky. It was a beautiful, serene night, a perfect Christmas night. Suddenly, he heard a soft voice behind him. It was Lily, her eyes filled with understanding. "You're worried about us leaving, aren't you?" Oliver turned to face her, his translucent form shimmering in the moonlight. "Yes," he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. "I've grown so fond of all of you." I don't want to be alone again. Lily approached him, her small hand reaching out to touch his ethereal form. You won't be alone, Oliver. We'll always remember you, and you'll always have a place in our hearts. Oliver smiled through his worries, grateful for the kindness of this family. Thank you, Lily. You've given me the best Christmas gift of all, the gift of friendship. As the first light of dawn broke on Christmas morning, the family gathered their belongings and prepared to leave the enchanted cabin. Oliver watched them with a mixture of sadness and gratitude. Their time together had been short, but it had been filled with laughter, love, and the magic of Christmas.